invisible diet you're on. Most people think their life is shaped by the big moments, the dramatic decisions, the turning points they can point to and say, that changed everything. But most lives aren't built that way. They're built quietly. They're built through repetition, and not repetition of action, repetition of exposure. You are on a diet you didn't realize you were on, not a food diet, an input diet. Every day you consume tone, language, emotion, atmosphere, music, opinions, energy, imagery, expectations. You consume how people speak to you. You consume how you speak to yourself. You consume what's normal in your circle. You consume what's playing in the background while you scroll, cook, drive, sit, and your nervous system doesn't filter it the way you think it does. It absorbs it. If you sit around sarcasm long enough, it starts to feel natural. If you sit around ambition long enough, it starts to feel possible. If you sit around complaint long enough, it starts to feel justified. If you sit around growth long enough, it starts to feel required. It's subtle. That's why it works. You don't wake up and decide to lower your standards. You just slowly adapt to what surrounds you. You don't wake up and decide to believe you're not capable. You just hear the same internal sentence enough times that it stops sounding like a thought and starts sounding like truth. Exposure is repetition without resistance, and repetition builds familiarity. Familiarity builds comfort. Comfort builds identity. That's how it happens. The music you play when you're alone matters more than you think. The tone of your group chats matters more than you think. The way you describe yourself when you make a mistake matters more than you think. The shows you leave running in the background matter more than you think. Because your brain is constantly asking one quiet question: is this normal? And whatever you repeatedly show it, it eventually answers yes. You don't become what you intend once. You become what you tolerate repeatedly. And most people are tolerating environments, physical and emotional, that are quietly shaping them into versions of themselves they never consciously chose. That's not dramatic. It's not mystical. It's neurological. Your system adapts to what it's around. So if you've been feeling stuck, flat, cynical, anxious, reactive, uninspired, before you blame your personality, your past, your luck, it might be worth asking something simpler. What am I repeatedly exposing myself to? Because you are not just living your life, you are being trained by it. The people around you are rewiring you. There's something most people don't realize about being around others. It's not just influence in the obvious sense. It's not just copying behavior or picking up slang. It goes deeper than that. Your nervous system is constantly syncing. When you sit with someone long enough, your breathing patterns subtly adjust. Your tone shifts. Your posture mirrors. Even your emotional baseline can recalibrate without you noticing. This isn't spiritual language. It's biology. We co-regulate. If you spend a lot of time around someone who lives in stress, your body begins to treat stress as a familiar climate. If you spend time around someone who reacts quickly, you may find your own reactions shortening. If you spend time around someone grounded, slow, measured, you often feel your system soften. You don't choose this consciously. Your brain is wired to belong before it's wired to be right. So it asks quietly over and over, how do we act here? What tone is safe here? What emotional range is allowed here? And then it adjusts. Not dramatically, gradually. If everyone around you speaks about themselves with doubt, self-criticism starts to feel normal. If everyone around you laughs at ambition, shrinking feels safer than standing tall. If everyone around you talks about other people negatively, your mind begins scanning for flaws instead of strengths. It doesn't happen in one conversation. It happens in patterns. And here's the part people don't like hearing. You can deeply love someone and still be shaped by them in ways that don't serve you. Love does not cancel exposure. Proximity is powerful. You might think you're strong enough to stay untouched by your environment. Most of us think that. But the brain doesn't work on intention alone. It works on repetition. If you sit in a room where growth is normal, you start thinking about growth. If you sit in a room where stagnation is normal, you slowly lower your internal bar without announcing it. You don't wake up and decide to settle. You adapt. And sometimes the reason you feel tired, flat, unmotivated, or small isn't because something is wrong with you. It's because you've been breathing an atmosphere that doesn't stretch you. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It doesn't mean dramatic exits. It means becoming aware of what your system is normalizing. Because awareness changes the equation. When you realize your emotional baseline might not even be yours, it might be borrowed from the loudest energy in the room. You start paying attention differently. You start asking quieter questions. Who do I feel like after I leave this conversation? What version of me comes out around this person? Do I feel expanded or reduced? You don't need to judge the answers. You just need to notice them. Because the people around you aren't just part of your life. They are shaping the rhythm of it. Your inner voice is also an environment. There's something most people miss when they talk about environment. They think it's just external. Rooms, people, music, media, but you carry an atmosphere inside you as well, and you live in it all day. The way you speak to yourself is not just commentary, it's climate. If your inner voice is sharp, impatient, critical, your nervous system doesn't know it's just a thought. It reacts as if someone in the room actually said it. Heart rate shifts, muscles tighten, cortisol nudges upward, the body listens. And the more often you hear the same sentence internally, the less it sounds like opinion, and the more it sounds like identity. I always mess things up. I'm not disciplined. I can't stick to anything. This is just who I am. At first, they're reactions, then they're habits, then they're beliefs. Exposure works the same internally as it does externally. If you repeat doubt daily, doubt becomes familiar. If you rehearse failure in your head, your brain starts predicting it before you even try. If you constantly narrate yourself as behind, your system operates as if you are. You don't need someone else to lower your frequency. You can do it alone in a quiet room. And most of us learned our inner voice from somewhere. A parent, a teacher, a culture, a past mistake. It's usually an echo, but repetition turns echoes into ownership. The brain is plastic. That's not motivational language. It's literal. Neural pathways strengthen with use. The more often you fire a thought pattern, the easier it becomes to access. The easier it becomes to access, the more automatic it feels. So when you say, "I don't know why I think like this," the answer is often simple. Because you've practiced it. Not intentionally, not maliciously, just repeatedly. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You can be surrounded by supportive people, uplifting music, good books, and still sabotage your own atmosphere if your inner narration stays hostile. You can leave a toxic environment and recreate it internally, because your mind is also somewhere you are repeatedly exposed to. If you wake up and the first thing you do is mentally criticize your body, your productivity, your past, you've already started the day in a climate of threat, and the body behaves accordingly. Small shifts here are not cosmetic. They are structural. Changing one repeated sentence changes the pattern that builds identity. You don't need to swing to unrealistic positivity. You don't need to pretend everything is perfect. But you can begin noticing tone. Is your inner voice coaching you or cornering you? Because the sentences you repeat to yourself are not harmless background noise. They are training data, and you are listening. What you listen to is training you. Sound is one of the most underestimated influences in your life. It feels harmless because it's invisible. You put headphones in, you press play. It fills the background while you drive, clean, scroll, sit in traffic. It becomes atmosphere. But sound doesn't just pass through you. It interacts with you. Your nervous system responds to rhythm before your conscious mind even registers lyrics. Faster beats elevate heart rate. Slower tempos calm breathing. Minor keys can create tension. Repeated emotional themes in lyrics begin to color perception. If you consistently listen to music rooted in anger, betrayal, resentment, hopelessness, even if you enjoy it, your body rehearses those emotional states. Not dramatically, just subtly, repeatedly. And repetition matters more than intensity. It's not about one song. It's about what you feed yourself daily. The same applies to podcasts, news, background shows, the conversations playing in your home. Tone becomes familiar. Emotional frequency becomes baseline. If sarcasm and complaint are the soundtrack of your day, your mind begins scanning for problems. If chaos is constant in your ears, calm can start to feel unfamiliar. Most people choose music based on mood, but very few choose it based on who they are becoming. There's a difference. You might say, "This is just what I like." And that may be true, but it's also shaping you. Language carries weight. Words repeated over melody sink deeper because they bypass certain mental filters. You don't analyze every lyric, you absorb them. If you repeatedly hear messages about not trusting, not trying, not caring, or glorifying destruction, those themes settle into the background of your thinking. They start influencing how you interpret situations. And it's not just negative content. Even overly aggressive productivity content, constant urgency, constant push, can wire your system into stress mode without you noticing. The body adapts to rhythm. That's why some environments feel calm without you knowing why. The soundscape is different. The tone is slower. The frequency is steady. You are being tuned by what you hear. This doesn't mean you must eliminate everything intense or emotional. It means becoming aware. Notice how you feel after an hour of what you've chosen, not in your thoughts, in your body. Are you tense, energized, heavy, focused, irritated, inspired? Sound is not just entertainment, it's conditioning. And if you begin to curate your soundscape intentionally, even slightly, you change the emotional patterns your nervous system rehearses. That shift is small, but small exposures build identities. The images you rehearse become blueprints. There's another layer to exposure that most people don't talk about. It's not just what you hear. It's not just who you're around. It's what you repeatedly picture. Your brain does not sharply separate imagination from experience. When you mentally rehearse something in detail, similar neural pathways activate as if you were physically doing it. That's why athletes visualize performance. That's why replaying an argument in your head can make your heart race again. The body responds to imagined scenarios. So if you repeatedly picture worst-case outcomes, rejection, failure, humiliation, your nervous system practices those states. It gets familiar with them. It becomes efficient at producing them, not because you're manifesting doom, but because you're training anticipation. The brain is constantly scanning for what matches what it already expects. If you rehearse fear often enough, you start spotting confirmation everywhere. If you rehearse opportunity often enough, you begin noticing doors you previously ignored. It's subtle. It doesn't feel mystical. It feels like coincidence, but it's pattern recognition. And most people are rehearsing outcomes they don't even want. They imagine how something could go wrong before it begins. They picture being judged before they speak. They visualize themselves failing before they start. They replay old mistakes until those memories feel more current than their actual present. That's exposure too. You can't control every thought that pops into your head, but you can notice which ones you linger on, which scenes you expand, which stories you keep editing and replaying. And over time, those repeated mental images become blueprints. Your behavior adjusts around them. Your posture shifts around them. Your confidence bends around them. If you consistently picture yourself as behind, you move through the world slightly apologetic. If you consistently picture yourself capable, even before full evidence appears, you begin acting in ways that support that image. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repetition. You don't rise into a new identity suddenly. You ease into it through rehearsal. So the question becomes less about what do I want, and more about what am I repeatedly picturing? Because your mind is not neutral space, it's rehearsal space. And whatever you practice there, your body prepares to live. Change what you stand near. If exposure shapes you, then the solution isn't dramatic reinvention. It's adjustment, small, deliberate swaps. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in 1 week. You don't need to cut everyone off, delete every app, throw out your playlist and start again tomorrow morning. You start with proximity. If a conversation leaves you feeling smaller, shorten it. If a piece of content leaves you tense, limit it. If a song tightens your chest every time, replace it with something that expands it instead. Not because you're fragile, because you're programmable. And that's not weakness. That's power. If repetition built the current version of you, repetition can build the next one. Swap one negative sentence you say about yourself with one neutral or constructive one. Not fake praise, just accuracy. Instead of I'm useless, maybe it becomes I'm learning. Instead of I always mess up, maybe it becomes I didn't get that right yet. That's a shift in exposure. If your environment is heavy, introduce something lighter. A different podcast, a book that stretches you, music that steadies you instead of spikes you, silence even. Silence is also an exposure, and sometimes it recalibrates more than noise ever could. If the people around you don't speak about growth, start spending small pockets of time around people who do. Online, in books, in interviews, through voices that challenge you gently. You don't have to abandon your life to change your direction. You adjust what you stand near. And here's something important. You cannot always control what happens to you. You cannot always control your past. You cannot always control the first thought that appears in your mind. But you can influence what you repeatedly feed. You can influence the soundtrack, the tone, the language, the imagery, the atmosphere. And over months, not days, that changes your baseline. It changes what feels normal. It changes what feels possible. It changes what feels like you. Exposure built your current identity quietly. It can build your next one the same way. So instead of asking, why am I like this? Try asking something else. What am I repeatedly standing near? And if nothing changed in your life, except what you expose yourself to every single day, who would you become 6 months from now? That's not a dramatic question. It's a practical one. Look at your music. Look at your conversations. Look at your inner voice. Look at your mental rehearsal. Which one needs adjusting first? Let me know in the comments, because awareness is the beginning and repetition is the builder. Please like and subscribe. Help this small channel grow. As always, this has been Valkyrie. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others. Lanterns up, people.